As per popular request, I am finally giving you guys a tour of my bookshelves that are behind me in all of my videos. And I'm also going to give you a little look at my desk setup and also my shelves behind the camera that you don't typically get to see. This video is definitely quite belated. I have been promising and talking about on stream doing a bookcase tour for quite a while now. So let's just get right into it. I got this little external microphone so that you guys can hear me over there, and I was like, it kind of looks like a gestural. Welcome to my bookshelf. I think that the first shelf I'm going to show you guys is going to be my game shelf. I think this is probably what most of you guys are going to find the most interesting. Starting off with my game collection shelf, most of the games here are ones that were included on my dedicated game collection video I made in the channel about a year ago. But I do have a couple of new additions. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to adding stuff to my collection, so I don't just like buy willy-nilly, but I do have a couple new stuff like I Spy Castle. I picked that up this past year. So if we start at the beginning of the shelf, I have my Lord of the Rings tarot card deck over here. It's actually a really cool deck. I love this one a lot and I really like to display it. I think it goes quite well with the shelf, honestly. And then back over here, I have hiding the Narnia PS2 game and the Final Fantasy 16 world map. Over here I have my Inuyasha. It's not a box set. I was gonna say box set, but I received all 7 seasons in a set. It just didn't come with a box, so I guess it's like a box set without the box. But I have all 7 seasons of the initial run of Inuyasha here. And then next to that, I have my Switch games. I don't have a lot of Switch games. These are all Switch 1. Honestly, I wasn't such a big fan of a lot of games in the catalog for the Switch, so I don't have too many, but I do have Pokemon Legends Arceus, Animal Crossing New Horizons, the first Octopath Traveler, and the new Grand Bazaar Story of Seasons game. The rest of my games that I have chosen to display are over here. I do have more games that are just not out over here. I do have limited space, so I kind of selectively chose what I want to display. But over here are my DS games, and then I have a couple PS1 games, and then my PS2 games. These are actually my 3 favorite PS1 games, which are Legend of Dragoon, Final Fantasy IX, and then Monster Rancher Hopabout. Over here are my PS2 games, and then on top I have my PS5 controller, keeping watch and making sure all my PS2 games are feeling safe. On the end, I have one PS5 game, and that is Final Fantasy 16. And then all the way on the end, I have my Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind manga box set. I've got one of my favorite Littlest Pet Shops over here, which is the white Persian cat. I've actually just recently picked this one up this year and I'm really excited about it. I always really wanted that one. And then I have 2 kittens over here that I've had for quite a while. I'm not really going in any particular order, so I think I'm just gonna take you guys right over here to the adjacent shelf because I also find this one really interesting personally. There is a couple of my books here, like my illustrated encyclopedia of Arthurian legends, my illustrated special edition of Lord of the Rings, which actually I noticed after I got it, the value of this compared to what I got it for went down significantly, but that's okay, I still really like it. Over here next to that, I have my copy of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that my mom gave me. She got these in like the 80s or so, and they're kind of falling apart a little bit. We've like taped up the spines and the pages are pretty much falling out, but I think it's really cool that we still have them, and the box is actually pretty cool for them. I really like these. Over here, I've got my PS2, and it's pretty old and a little bit dusty, but I try to take care of it as much as I can. A lot of like the dents and issues with it are just from when I was younger and it was getting beat around, but I take a lot better care of it now. And I have a couple memory cards just stuck into it, and I keep it here for display, and then of course when I want to use it, I take it off the shelf and plug it in and put it into my TV, but this is just where I typically display it. In the back, I've got my official game guide for Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. It's actually too big to fit on any of the shelves normally, so I just put it in the back there, but I do think it makes a pretty cool backdrop for the shelf as well, so I'm not really complaining. At the other end, I've got a unlikely team of fighters. Honestly, there's nothing that really ties any of these figures together, and they don't really like overlap in theme or anything, but I still think that they look really cool together. On top of my PlayStation, I have a little stand that holds my 3DS XL. I love this console. If you watched the very early channels on my video, this is kind of like a console that really got me started on YouTube, and I still love it and use it all the time. This is a good location for it because I can just like pick it up and drop it whenever I want, and I use it really frequently. Next to these consoles, I have a new device that I've been having a lot of fun trying out, and that is the REDMAGIC 11 Air. REDMAGIC sent me their newest gaming phone. They are kindly sponsoring today's video as well, and I've been having a lot of fun messing around and playing games on it. It also just looks super cool. I don't really know what I was imagining, but when I like think about a powerful gaming phone, I didn't imagine something so lightweight and sleek. It honestly kind of reminds me of like an in-game receiver item, kind of like a Pokedex or something. It definitely feels like something a character in a video game would use as an in-game item. The 11 Air has a bunch of awesome features that separates it from your typical average run-of-the-mill cellular device. Compared to REDMAGIC's previous models, there is an upgraded fan and cooling system that fuels its 144 Hz refresh rate. And on the sides are these shoulder buttons that make it feel a lot like using a handheld console, and the battery on it lasts surprisingly long and charges up pretty quickly. But I'm not really a specs kind of gal. I was mostly just interested in like how it's gonna play my games, and it is definitely an upgrade from my iPhone 13 and my old iPad that I've been using for Genshin Impact for years. It runs everything I would ever want to really play on a mobile device really well, so I feel pretty comfortable recommending REDMAGIC if you're in the market for a new phone and you're really into gaming on the go. If that's something that you're into, then you can click the link in the description of this video to check out the new REDMAGIC 11 Air and all of its fancy specs for yourself. Now let's head back and check out the rest of my stuff. Up over here, I have some of my manga collection. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of manga. I'm not so big on collecting like a lot of volumes. I kind of just specifically collect volumes, or like specific volumes that I like, or short series. In front of everything are just a bunch of little trinkets. I have some of my calico critters, some dice, this little mystical bottle thing that I got from like Hobby Lobby. I thought it was really cool shaped. I like the shape, so I just got it and put it here. Here is a Gothitelle card that my friend decorated and gifted to me, and it's being stood up by the wing of my Butterfree. Over here are just some other little guys. I've got my Hamtaro Godzilla, some calico critters. In the back are some of my PS4 games, this really beautiful tile that I got from a flea market a couple years ago, my Polaroid photo album, and in the back is the little like Pokedex kind of badge that I got from GoFest 2025. If we move over to the adjacent shelf over here, I just have a couple more books and manga over here. I have some of my spiritual books over here. Of course, Goodnight Moon is the #1 spiritual book of all time. I do collect children's books. You'll see more of those later on in some of my bottom shelves, but these are two of my favorites. And then over here I have some of my more spiritual books. I have the collected works of Khalil Gibran and The Prophet, which is kind of like his masterwork. My shelves are kind of just like vibe coded, but I genuinely feel like most of these books really do go together pretty well. I have a single volume of Inuyasha, my Wanda Nohara manga, some other like little series, and then I've got my Poclan collection over here. I think it was an anniversary release, but I'm not certain. Over here I have a frame that I got at a flea market with a print that I picked up at it's like a postcard print from an art store, but I really like the artwork on it, so I decided to frame it, and I think it looks pretty cute there. Moving up now to my top shelves, honestly, they're not that interesting. They're kind of the shelves that really get cut off from my videos completely, so I mostly just kind of put things there that I don't know where to put anywhere else. I kind of did just like an afterthought. This one I have my Scrabble box, my Lord of the Rings Risk Trilogy edition, some stuffed animals, some of my childhood stuffed animals. Foxes are my favorite animal, so a lot of my childhood plushies were foxes. And then just a couple more other toys and things put over here. Over here I have this really cool crochet hook set. I got this from a kind of like moving estate sale recently this past summer. I overheard the people at the sale talking about how this was their grandma's crochet hook set, if I interpreted them correctly. And I think it's really interesting and cool to have a little bit of a history of an item when you get something secondhand. It just kind of builds a story around an item and makes it really interesting. And I hope that I can use and appreciate this set as much as their grandma did. Or, I mean, maybe she hated it and never used it and it was just decoration and she just like never used it. I don't know, but I guess I will never know. Over here is a shelf that I'm honestly not so big of a fan of. All of the books that I just don't really like, or ones that have nowhere else to go on other shelves, I put on this shelf so I don't really have to look at them and I don't really have to worry about them right away. I really can't reach my top shelves. This is the best that I can give you, but up there I just have some of my toys. I've got a plant, a globe. I've had that globe like forever, like literally I think since I was born. I have a Centret and Furret plush over here. I love this one. I've got a Webkinz Kins Clip toy, a Littlest Pet Shop cow. I actually have an interesting story about the Littlest Pet Shop cow. I was watching a creator that I like, a Littlest Pet Shop creator that I like. She does really cool customs. And she was sponsored on that video by Littlest Pet Shop, and they had come out recently with a new collection of plushes. I'm actually really impressed because I feel like this looks like an old toy, but it's actually a new collection. Anyway, so she had the cow plush out of all the options, and I was like, wow, if I was gonna get any of them, I would really want the cow, but I wasn't gonna like go out of my way to get it. But I was just like randomly running some errands, and I went into my local toy shop that I frequent, and just randomly sitting on a shelf with literally no other Littlest Pet Shop toys. They don't even sell Littlest Pet Shop, no Littlest Pet Shop branding, was this cow surrounded by just like other random stuffed animals. And I was like, whoa, this is the exact cow that I wanted. It's like a sign. So I obviously bought it, and here she is on my shelf now. Up over here next to that, I've got my Barbie 80th anniversary Frankie Stein collaboration doll. Honestly, she doesn't look how I expected her to look like. She did definitely look better on the online photos, but I am still quite happy with her, and I do think that she's a really cool doll. I keep her in the box because I think the box is really cool and adds to like the display aspect of it all, so I keep her in the box. Over here, I've just got some random boxes. I've got a box with some Pokemon cards in it, a CD stomper, don't ask me about that. And then over here in this empty spot is the spot where I'm going to put my SKA doll that I literally pre-ordered this morning, so just imagine him sitting right there. All right, if we head down to my more bottom set of shelves now, these two are kind of like my dedicated trinket shelves. This one started off super empty, and honestly, it is still pretty empty. A lot of it is just kind of just like filling it up. I don't really have anything big to put here, nothing that I think kind of like looks good here. So right now it's just a bit sparse, so this is a shelf that I definitely want to improve on. Over here I have two candles. These are electric candles, okay? I remember in especially my earlier videos on YouTube, I got a lot of comments being like, oh my God, why do you have candles in your bookcase? That is so unsafe. They are electric, trust me. I would not put unattended tall candles inside of a very flammable structure, so don't worry, they are battery operated. Behind the candles, I have the Mythic Mew card. I think that's what it's called. I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure, but I've had that for a while, so I have it in a little frame over there. Over here is my Guilty Pikachu. He's part of like the Pikachu Emotions set from the Poke Center. I believe it's like the Pikachu Emotions. There's a whole bunch of different ones. I almost got the Annoyed one. I really like that one as well, but like, he's so guilty. Look at him. Like, oh my gosh, look at him. And then next to him, I have my, I believe the Hopscotch Bunny Calico Critter. These were my first Calico Critters. I got them a couple years ago. I got them secondhand off eBay because we were not currently experiencing this like Calico Critter renaissance that is currently occurring. This shelf over here is also mostly just trinket display. I'm also not 100% happy with this shelf. I would like to have a little bit more of height in here, but I do love everything that is in here. Over here is the star of my YouTube channel, my Stardew Valley chicken. I've named him Cluck, and he has his little Coochie Patchy friend down over here. And then next to him is my little GoFest 2025 pin badge thing. They were handing these out at the event. Basically, there was the opportunity to battle other trainers / players live. And if you won 3 battles in a row, they gave you a little pin to commemorate that. So this is my pin for beating everybody. Over here is a crystal bowl kind of thing that I just have a bunch of like junk in here, honestly. There's nothing really too special in here, just some origami and like hair stuff and just like nonsense. And here is just some more trinkets and little things. I have a little knight, I have my Poliwag, Poliwag. I believe this one is Poliwag, the unevolved one. A little Sleepy Kirby, my pink my pink DS Lite. And then behind that we have Sesshomaru, who is protecting the DS with Tenseiga. I really like this figure, but I do have some qualms with it because it is just not entirely accurate. There are some colors and design features missing from his outfit, but it was a little bit more of an affordable figure, so I understand. And I still really like it. I think it's a really cool figure and it's posed really nicely. Like, he just looks good, you know, like I like it, but I do have some minor complaints with it. Underneath this shelf, I have a couple more volumes of manga. I have volumes 1 to 5 of Kami-sama Kiss, and that is probably all the volumes I'll ever have of it. I'm not really big into collecting loads of volumes of manga. I kind of just collect a couple of volumes that I particularly like from a series that I particularly like. And next to it, I have a display book of a single volume of Moto Hagio's because I think the artwork on it is very beautiful. Over here, I have my Final Fantasy XIV axolotl, a little card captor Sakura figure with a little Kero. I love the Kero on this one. I think she's like squeezing him so cutely, so that's why I specifically got this one. And then I have a couple of tiny books in my passport and stuff on top of my PS1 and a red panda that I got at the zoo one time. The adjacent shelf to this one has most of my reading books. I've been collecting these for quite a while. Honestly, I don't read as much these days as I used to, so a couple of these, especially these books over here, are ones that I read a couple years ago now, honestly, like quite a longer time ago than I'd like to admit, but some of them are recent pickups, like the Bear and the Nightingale I read recently, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'd like to get the other 2 books. I also kind of recently, if you consider like the last like 2-3 years recent, read the Howl's Moving Castle book, and I also quite like that. It was very different than the movies, but I did appreciate the changes. I acknowledge the differences, and I respect both creators for their different choices, and I think both are really great. Let's just move right down over here to my bottom-most shelf. This is where I keep most of my children's books, whether they are books that I've had since I was a child or books that I picked up afterwards. The majority of my children's book collection is in here. I have a bunch of cool stuff. I really admire the artwork from children's books, so that's my main interest when looking at them. I just really like the old style of children's books, so like recent books don't really appeal to me as much, but I will say more like vintage retro children's books, the artwork there really is cool to me. Moving right on to this shelf over here, this is kind of like my art shelf. I have most of my art books over here, whatever I don't have over there. I consider like this like educational art books, and then over here I have my artist specific art books. I have a couple cool ones. I will say my favorites are definitely the Littlest Pet Shop art book. That one is a really fun one to have in my collection. And I also specifically love my Shimizu Reiko art book that I got imported from Japan a couple years ago. Shimizu Reiko is my favorite manga artist. She does amazing comic and illustration work. I definitely recommend checking her out if you're into that kind of style. And then I've just got a couple other things like a Marmalade Boy art book, The Art of Final Fantasy IX, which I'm really excited to have. That's something that I've been wanting for a while. A Yoshitaka Amano book, and just a couple other random stuff. I also have the first volume of Akira. I kind of consider this like an art book, honestly. It's just so amazing. Over here in this little black pouch, I have the majority of my Game Boy Advance games. I don't really have a proper way to display them, so they're just kind of tucked away in this bag. Underneath that, I have my Japanese box set of The Rose of Versailles, and it's a really cool box. I flip the box every so often to take a look at the artwork on the other sides. It's a really beautiful box. This was gifted to me by a friend of mine, and it's such a thoughtful gift. It's really nice when you get something from somebody, you really just feel like they understand you. And then over here, I have the rest of my art books. I have all of the Studio Ghibli, or I guess Ghibli. I say Ghibli. I know that most people say Ghibli, and I believe that's how the creators say it themselves. But I think that Ghibli is just correct. I know this is a problem. This is like an overarching clovergirly problem where I literally say every single name ever wrong. The thing that my brain really just like gets stuck on is names and saying them exactly how I think they should be said. So that results in a lot of discrepancies in naming, especially in my videos. But yes, these are my Studio Ghibli art books, and I display different ones every so often. Right now I have the Castle in the Sky one on display. And then at the very end, I have my Final Fantasy 16 art book. Here is my desk setup. I also have another bookshelf over there, but that one is super messy and I kind of just throw everything that I don't know what to do with over there. I do have a couple trinkets and stuff in there, but I'm not gonna show you up close because I definitely did not dust it before this video or anything, and it's super messy and kind of just a catch-all. So whatever you can see from here, that's basically what there is. Over on my desk itself, I have my laptop. Don't look at my home screen too closely. It is super messy. I am really bad at organizing, but I use a gaming laptop. I don't have a stationary PC just because it doesn't really suit my lifestyle. I like to be able to take my PC and use it anywhere, so a laptop for now just suits me better. And then I have my microphone over here, my mouse that I kind of just route through the back. I think behind here is just like super messy cables. Oh, and some bloody feathers from my Bloodborne costume. Don't look at that, don't worry about that. Okay, so over here I just have my keyboard, my audio interface, and then I have my monitor. I believe it's a 27-inch monitor, and I have it on top of this monitor stand that I actually custom built myself. I went to Home Depot with a friend and we cut the wood, and then I glued it together and I stained it the same color as my shelves up there so that everything would match. Of course, I have some monitor buddies keeping me company. I've got some guys on little seats over there. And over here, I have a Minecraft wolf, a little sketchbook, and a Lego Vegeta to keep me motivated. And I'm so sorry that everything is dusty. I literally dusted earlier, but something about my apartment, things just instantly get dusty. You see that? You see that dust just falling down? I think it might just be because I have 3 dogs, but it's also just like the area I live in. Things just instantly build up dust and there's nothing that I can do about it. Over here, I have my lamp, which I got at a flea market a couple years ago, probably like 2 years ago now, and I love it. It's not actually real glass, it's just plastic over here, but it gives a really good illusion of it. I am a little bit afraid of it though, because the light bulb in it gets really hot. It actually heats up everything and it gets hot to the touch. And I haven't replaced it yet. I know that I should replace it. I just haven't gotten around to it in these 2 years. And the on and off button is like a little bit finicky. You can't really tell, but like it flickers sometimes. You don't get it just right. But it's a really beautiful lamp and it is like fully adjustable. I can adjust the heights and everything here. So really cool. I love the way that it looks. And then underneath it here, I have this bunny tile that I got from eBay and I use it as a coaster. This is one of my favorite things that I have ever picked up. You know, one man's trash, another man's treasure. Super cool. I also love getting items that are secondhand and then finding, you know, some information about its past life or where it came from, and then thinking about how the person I bought it from maybe came about it and something about their life. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Next to my desk, I just have this little wicker trolley and I have some succulent plants, so some garbage stuff over there. It's like a piece for my Cynthia cosplay. And then I have this basket with some of my makeup in it. The part that I'm really excited to talk about is the wall above my desk. First of all, on top of my monitor, I have my little monitor creeper buddy. I have my ring light that I use, or not my ring light, my key light that I use, and my camera. I use this LED panel and then I bounce it off against my wall so it kind of softens and diffuses the light, and it works pretty well for my videos. And the camera that I use is the Sony ZV-E1 camera. Directly above my monitor, I have this really cool trinket shelf that I also got secondhand. and I use it to house some of my calico critter families and just random bits and bobs. So I've got some calicos up here. I've got a strawberry glass. I've got this mushroom that my friend gifted to me. This elephant with another baby elephant in it, some seashells from when I went to Florida, and just some other things that people close to me have given to me or I've made together with them, and just, yeah, just kind of like memorabilia. I love this shelf so much. I will say it's probably my favorite display in my entire room. I think it just came together so nicely. It went through a lot of stages of just not looking exactly right, and I think I finally landed on a good layout. I have my knockoff unofficial Badman Vegeta figure in the middle, and he is protecting all of my calico critters, and then behind him he's got his harem of Monster High girls. I really like the vibe of my other heart shelf, but I do feel like there is something a little bit like wrong with it. I think I have to mess around with some different items and different heights. There's an overarching theme of like warm, rich colors of the orange of like my deer and the fox and Garnet's jumper suit kind of piece going on. I do feel like it is quite cohesive in general, but I think visually there is like a little bit something weird. Like I feel like maybe like something tall needs to be over here. I'm not really sure, still working through that. This porcelain fox is another one of my favorite possessions. It's from the USSR Royal Porcelain Factory back in the 1900s, and it is an absolutely beautiful piece of art. All right, we have reached the end of the tour. I hope you guys are invigorated with satisfaction right now. I had a lot of fun talking about and showing you guys all my little trinkets and collections and everything. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye. As always, thank you to my channel members and Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. And a big special thank you to my Fashion Board tier members, Violvale, Eisen, Deglor, Hurlchin, and Daniel for their extra support.